Hey, what is up, everyone? It is Bismo here, back with the Bismo Show and back with Dustin. This is show number 10. Last time Dustin was on here, it was show number 2. It's been like 2 months. Time flies, and now we're in the peak, per se, of Ahsoka.
Heck yeah, man. Thanks for having me on. I'm just glad to be back. Crazy that I get to come back. It's crazy that you had me back for episode 10. What an episode, too. I can't wait to get into it with you.
Yeah. Oh, don't give me that. You knew you'd be back, and there's stuff in the works in the background too. So you'll be seeing Dustin on the channel more than even this. But what's up, peeps in the chat? I want to say hi to some of the early lurkers. I saw Ellie in here early. Icy, Sonia, Agats, Kristen Allen. What's up? What's up, Angel Serini? Yeah, what's up, everyone? I hope you're having a good one. Sonia asked how we're doing. I'm doing pretty good. It's been an extremely busy day. I think it's been busy for you too?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Busy week, busy day. Probably not as busy as yours, but still busy.
Busy is good, but it's also busy. Busy is busy.
Yeah, it's like, makes the day go by quick, especially when you're at work. But then when you're home and it's busy, it gets kind of crazy too.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Also joining us tonight, one of my favorite Star Wars mug. I've got some hot cocoa in here.
For your hot takes.
I don't know if there's going to be many hot takes. I feel like there's going to be mostly agreement tonight. I don't know. We'll see.
Probably.
But yeah,
probably.
But there could be some hot takes. There'll be somebody in the chat, going off.
Yeah, oh, you never know what the chat's going to bring.
You guys had me on Tuesday, so for reference, I haven't even really said much of the intro stuff, but Bismo Show, we're live every Thursday, 8 p.m. CST around this time. Dustin here's from Stay on Target. They do 2 streams a week right now for Ahsoka. I was on their stream last Tuesday right before Ahsoka came out, and they had a stream last night like they normally do on Wednesdays. Really fun show there. Dustin is the host. So make sure to go check it out. I got a link in the description. Those of you listen to VOD or whatever, make sure to go hit them up, get a sub going. But yeah, also make sure to email bismoshow@gmail.com for collaborations, show ideas, or just general feedback or anything you really want to share. You have something you might want to have featured on the show or anything else, just let me know. But yeah, without further ado, actually, not without further ado, make sure to drop a like on the stream, people. I see a low number of likes to the viewer ratio. Like it up. I mean, it takes... I'm not even going to say 2 seconds. It takes less than 2 seconds. I don't even want to hear this. This is bullcrap.
It's just a click away, friends. Just a click away. It really helps the algorithm, though, too. It's crazy how much that helps.
It really does. And when you're up against people with hundreds of thousands, even millions of subscribers, it's really helpful to get that little extra
Oh, yeah.
Angelina Sereni really asked with our question we'll start off with is, did you guys like Ahsoka episode 5? Well, let's do a rating. And for Ahsoka episode 5, let's do it out of 100, and let's think on it a little bit so you can think precisely about what would you give it, on the spot. On
the spot for me, out of 100, I'm probably going to go 85. I'm thinking 85. It was very, 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 very good. Honestly, I enjoyed so much of the episode. I only had a few nitpicks. It was more, it's just nitpicks, really, is what it was.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I definitely had a few. And yeah, I'm thinking on my score a little bit. I'm hovering between a couple scores. I'm gonna go with a solid 94. That is pretty high. Yeah. That is pretty high, but I thought I still have nitpicks for it, but I'm genuinely rating Ahsoka pretty high as is, so I'm trying to keep consistent with that. But I will say, I mean, my expectations for this episode was super high. I mean, they had multiple theaters bought out, a lot of anticipation. I made some predictions, got some of those predictions right.
Yeah, you did. Bisby right, people. Bisby right.
Felt pretty good about that. Had to make a video on that. If you haven't, go check it out. I break down and explain the confrontation between Ahsoka and Anakin or Vader to some extent. But yeah, I mean, we get a lot in this episode, and the thing that I was talking with one of my other buddies about the episode is everyone's talking about the Clone Wars flashback. Everyone's talking about Anakin and all that. And that's like about half the episode because we still got like a 20-minute chunk at the end with Ahsoka the White and the Purgles and all of that. So there's just a lot of different things. And one thing, I threw this in a poll. Some people may or may not have seen this, but the Kanan Jarrus name drop mention, that was like huge. On my bucket list items of this needs to be done. Otherwise, I can't respect it, you know?
Oh yeah, no, I completely agree with you. It's so funny. It was fitting that it happened in this episode because Dave Filoni. It's almost like all the other directors, like, Dave, can we say Kanan in this? I mean, we're kind of talking. He's like, no, it's got to wait till episode 5, baby. And then he finally dropped it, and we were like, what? Yes, there was just so many big moments that happened this episode. It was awesome.
Yeah, I am curious about that. If Dave actually was like, no, that's I gotta do that. But I don't know, some of these other directors, because I know, I mean, I can't expect other directors to be as dedicated. You know, a lot of these directors probably haven't seen a lot of Rebels, and that's okay. But maybe they're not thinking about.
Is it okay?
For a director, I mean,
I get where you're coming from. They don't need to necessarily know every single detail.
The writer needs to know Star Wars and
Star
Wars. So if an example of a writer that doesn't like Star Wars, writer of Andor. I mean, what?
Slapping out the gate, eh?
Hey, you set it up. You set it up. You set it up. You said it's important.
Dang. Ooh, that cut me deep, bro.
But there can be a good combination. Since Dave Filoni wrote everything, though, you could bring in people with differing ideas to not necessarily from like what the content will be, but how it's interpreted, just to, you know, mix it up per se. But it's felt mostly consistent overall. I will say, even though like this is my favorite episode so far for, you know, various reasons of just we get to see Anakin in Clone Wars armor, a lot of other things, little Captain Rex cameo, the Mandalorians. List out so many things, but from a show perspective, I actually would say that episode 4, if we're looking non-Star Wars, like, oh, goody good stuff, like just like a purely good show perspective, I would say episode 4 might still be the best as far as pacing, in my opinion, and how things were done.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from, because it definitely still feels like Dave's still kind of he's like 90%, like 85 to 90% there with his directing live action. Because there's still, like, for me, that was one of the nitpicks I had in this, was the pacing was still just slightly, like, he just let things go a little too long. And I get why, because it's like, you know, you're new director, you work so hard for these awesome looking scenes that you don't want to cut stuff. It's hard to cut stuff.
I get what you're saying. Like, was it? I mean, I really liked the Clone Wars flashbacks. Like, I want more of that. However, there was points where it's like, you know, we could maybe some things could have been incorporated or taken out, just to, you know, spice it. There were some of the conversations were a bit not unnecessary, I would say, but overall, I like the first one is all right. And then we get to the Siege of Mandalore, and then when Anakin comes onto the stream, Hayden Christensen, your performance, if you ever listen to this, like, I tweeted this out, your performance was amazing.
Yes.
Fans, we love you.
Yes.
You've always been good. It was the critics' fault. You couldn't hear us fans of the prequels back then. But you were always good. But you really were the standout performance of this episode.
Definitely. I completely agree. His gravitas, his weight, even his fighting style, again, back in this, I felt it. I was like, dang, he just went like right back into it. And he sold those fights, man. He sold them so good. I was loving that. And yeah, just even his acting, I love the fact that he was able to be more of the Clone Wars Anakin, which is the one that you like. He's like the friend Anakin. He's like the one that you want to hang out with, the one you want to follow into battle. And it was fun to see a little bit lighter side of him with joking around with snips and stuff like that. So I completely agree. Hayden Christensen blew it out of the park, especially with this one.
Yeah, 100%. I do got to give credit where credit's due to the Ahsoka actor. I think like the young one. She did really good. One of my nitpicks, though, is when they make that transition from the first one to the second one, they could have made it a little bit more of an in-between stage. But I understand it's difficult, but I'm going to point it out because that is it's like, isn't that like a year or two difference at least?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I was like, you know what they could have done? I should have been it might have blown everybody away or have been terrible. I'm not sure. But if they would have had Ashley Eckstein be the slightly older version.
Yeah, that would probably be good. And I don't I think she would just want to do that. I don't think that it would really be. I mean, she pay her obviously. Like I think she would do that because she would want to anyway. So the negotiation wouldn't be too.
Yeah. That action sequence was awesome though with the Siege of Mandalore. Like that was probably one of the best fights of the entire episode. And with like she was just wrecking shop. I love that. I was
Yeah,
like, yes!
the Mandalorian's super cool. And then seeing Rex. I'm gonna check in chat real quick. We
Yeah,
got the Stay on Target fact checker in here. What's up? The hot
What's up?
take. I played a hot take. I don't know. I was just saying it wasn't a hot take. It's not my opinion. I didn't state my opinion. I just stated that a specific writer doesn't like Star Wars. That's his opinion. That's a fact. It's not me.
He likes Star Wars enough, but
yeah, he likes Star Wars for the money. Yeah, but
it was a fresh take. You know, it was good to have a fresh take in some ways.
Yeah.
Nailed the look of it for the most part, other than the AK. I will give you that. Here we go. We're talking to Andor. It's a funny thing.
It's all memes.
Yeah, the funny thing though was about this show. Like in the beginning of this show, I was liking it, but it felt so slow. And we said in the beginning, because like Dave's still kind of getting his pacing. We're like, I wonder if this is what Bismo felt like when he was watching Andor. that was a low blow though. But no, it's just gotten better. It's literally just gotten better and better with each episode though. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I was trying to get my brother into it because he hasn't started. He's more of a casual Star Wars fan. I was trying to explain to him like, you can get through the first few episodes. Episode 4 and 5 are really up there with some of the best television just for short shows in general. Like it can hold its own. I'm not like any against HBO shows or whatever. Stay on Target is in the chat as well. Hayden was on Target, yeah, for sure. Bismo and Dustin, I want to see Anakin and Luke reunite, a father and son moment. I think we would like that. But where would we see it? Would it be in a movie, or I feel like that'd have to be in the big screen?
Yeah, they'd probably have to do it on the big screen. They'd probably do it in that Heir to the Empire movie that he's working on. You know, I could definitely see it happening there of all places, but they'd have to do it right. That's trickier than what it sounds like. You don't want to break canon or anything like that, you know?
And that's where I got to give why my rating is so high for this episode is Dave did something that is not easy to do. He brought back Anakin and served a purpose that actually was beneficial to the story, made sense to some extent, but wasn't fully black and white where you can just fully interpret everything. Like, he brought Anakin back in a somewhat mysterious way that doesn't break Anakin. It helps rekindle the bond between Ahsoka and him. And it accomplishes that goal to teach her a lesson that she needs to not make the mistakes that he did, and just to keep fighting and moving forward. But Dave got that done well, because there could have been a number of ways this could have gone, and I think how he did it was one of the best ways, really.
Oh, definitely, man. He handled it with such care, and his the costuming was perfect. I love seeing the armored Anakin. That was amazing. But then also, yeah, like you're saying, I like the fact that Dave Filoni brings in the mythical side of Star Wars, and he does it so well that he's not going to interpret everything for you. He leaves a lot of it up to interpretation. He doesn't give you every single detail, which I think is kind of nice, because then, you know, you chat about it with friends and everybody, you're like, well, I got this out of it. And somebody else is like, oh, I got this out of it. It's all similar, and there might be a right or wrong, but not really. It's more what you got out of it. And that's what kind of makes it fun and keeps the conversation going. Dave knows how to keep that conversation going, which is something that I don't feel like we've had for a while. And that's what's fun about it.
This is why I like Ahsoka so much, because it has the mythical and it feels like Star Wars to me. And it's keeping the conversation going. Like you're saying, like even Mando, but like Mando season 1, Mando season 2, in between each episode, I mean, even in some of those episodes, it'd be hard. Like, it's a different story to some extent each week. It's hard to like, what's gonna happen next? Mando season 3, it's like, you know, there's some predictions to be made.
Yeah.
this is just so much wider in scope. Ahsoka,
Oh
like
yeah,
the
heavy lore.
conversations. Yeah, the conversations we can have. So many people having different ideas. Like, no, it's gonna be the son of Mortis because of this, or oh, it's Darth Vader because of this. Oh, Ahsoka, it's all in her head. She's not actually there, or Ahsoka's actually dead, and like so many different interpretations. But we might never get those answers for sure, and that's really the fun of it. And that's where YouTube and content creation in general has always thrived. Like before the shows, and even when there wasn't as much content, people would make more of these videos, these what if videos, or other types of videos, or lore videos to kind of interpret or explain things. And it is more so for fun because we never really know for sure.
Yeah, that's what made Star Wars great in the beginning. I mean, that's why Star Wars gave you a playground to play in with your mind, with your imagination. That's why everybody went into the backyard and pretended they were Luke Skywalker or Leia or Han Solo on another adventure. You know, that's what Star Wars is in so many ways. So it's fun that Dave Filoni, being the apprentice, is bringing that back for all of us to talk about and enjoy again. Also, the fact that I love the fact, like what you were talking about with Mando. Mando affects like a smaller portion, such a smaller portion of the galaxy compared to what Dave Filoni's doing. Dave Filoni's like swinging for the fences with Ahsoka. I mean, this affects the entire galaxy, but not just one, two galaxies at this point, which is crazy. He blew it up even more than I thought he was gonna. So that's what's amazing about this.
Yeah, for sure. Super pumped to see this new galaxy. And will this be next episode? I'm gonna close up this poll here. It seems like at least nobody voted that they didn't like it or was mid. At least everybody liked it, and most people loved it. So it's great to see overwhelming positivity, and when it's like genuinely there, when something's genuinely good. Love to see that. But the next question I'm gonna put in the poll here is gonna be regarding next episode, because I want to start getting into some discussion, though. I mean, we can go back and forth on what happened and if there's anything we missed as well, but I really want to start making, like we said, start making predictions and
there's so many.
What's going to happen. So the question I'm going to see is, who will we see next episode? And it's going to be pretty simple. There's going to be an Ezra option, there's going to be a Thrawn option, and then there's going to be a both, and then there's going to be a none.
Wow. Ooh, that's tough. With how wrong I've been with so much so far, it's hard for me to like even predict in some ways, but it's still fun to predict. I'm not taking that away. I'm just like, I don't know what Dave's got planned. You know, half the time he just curveball right to your face, and you're like, oh, and then the smoke just deflates out of you.
Yeah, I will say, for my initial predictions, I've gotten some right, some wrong, or whatever. But the ones where I was wrong was, it's hard to predict episodes when people are going to appear,
right?
But it is late. It is the over on the episodes where Ezra and Thrawn appear. So I am starting to get a little worried. I don't want them to just give us one episode at the end with them. I do want next episode to have Ezra or Thrawn or both. I want that wilderness scene, or this. I want to be introduced to this new setting, this new galaxy, properly. Like, I can't. I don't really want like 20 minutes of New Republic stuff that doesn't really affect us anymore. Ahsoka's taken off. Sabine's over there. Anakin's in the Cosmic Force. So all of the characters to this current story are in the new galaxy. So we have to be seeing the new galaxy now, right?
Right. I hope so, man. I really hope so, because otherwise it's gonna feel kind of filler like in some ways if we don't.
It will feel like episode 1 or 2, and we don't need that. We need to keep building off of. We just had a crazy episode. I wouldn't mind a change up. Like, we don't have to you don't have to let's do a crazier like cameo or anything like that. But shoot us off the gate in this new galaxy, something wild to introduce us to this new setting. And I think I asked this on your guys' stream, or just said it in general, but like, I want to know what separates and what is different about these two galaxies. Like, why should I care that we're in a new galaxy anyway? I mean, other than our characters are there, but I want to know more about this galaxy.
Right.
What makes it different?
If you're going to open like Pandora's box, you got to give us some meat in this new galaxy. We got to see Like, are there new rules? Is the Force there? Is the Force not there? What are these creatures? I mean, there's so much. This is where our imagination flourishes. And this is where you can do totally new things that we've never seen before. While still, I still hope there's aspects of it. And I think that's why the characters there are going to keep us grounded in Star Wars, but they're also going to give us so much new stuff that could be so fun. And the genius thing about it is it's not going to affect, it's not going to affect Star Wars, the one that we know and love, because it's somewhere totally different. So we're not going to be like, that's not how that would. Yeah, exactly. It's an open sandbox. I really hope they get right into it and we develop this new galaxy like right off the bat. We see Ezra, we see Thrawn, and maybe we get. I'd really like to see like catch us up in some ways.
Yeah.
To what happened. I want to know what happened to Thrawn.
Yeah, this is a long gap.
Yeah.
They were together, and we get the trailer clip, which still haven't seen, which is a little stinky.
A little stinky. Hashtag a little stinky.
I'm not a fan of like. I was hoping 1 through 4. Like,
yeah.
I don't like. I wanted full. No idea. I mean, really, we had no idea about the last episode for the most part. What'd you think about them going in the mouth of the mega Purgle?
Oh man, I mean, we kind of saw it coming in some ways. I was like, obviously, I thought actually they were gonna like ride on its back.
Yeah, I thought they were gonna latch their ships on the big thing.
Kind of like Han in Empire Strikes Back. Whenever he attaches to the back of the Star Destroyer, I was like, that would make sense. And they could jump, and they're still attached technically. But yeah, I thought it was kind of funny as they were flying in. I was like, this is how Ahsoka dies. It just chops. Or if there's like a whole civilization in there, they're like, hey, come on in. We've been stuck here for ages. We just go where the whales go, man.
Oh, that would be such a twist.
It's so funny. I don't know.
Imagine that the chomp does happen though, but it's in like, a game over sign comes up, and then it resets to Ahsoka like falls back into the world between worlds, and Anakin's like, there's still hope for you, but
you lost. Trust me, you lost. Beaten by a Purgle.
You thought that the Purgles were friendly?
Yeah. No. They are who taught Sidious, man. That's Plagueis. The Purgle Plagueis.
Yeah. I gotta say the live action Purgles, they look cool. The teeth look a little different. I don't really care, but the one is so massive. Like, do we see one that's even that big? Like, that's got to be the biggest Purgle.
Yeah, I think there
was a big one that like helps when Ezra took off, but it doesn't look as big. Like, that thing is huge.
We like to call that one Gil. We've named that one Gil for us. He's ginormous. So I mean, there were some big ones that attached onto the Chimera in Rebels, but I don't know if they were that big. That one did seem like the head honcho. He was Moby Dick, the whale. I'll get you. I don't know. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah. Well, I mean, make sure to vote if you can, but nobody has said. Everyone thinks we're going to see somebody. 56% say both, and then outside of that, most people would expect Thrawn. So just about everyone expects Thrawn at the very least, from what I gather from the poll. And I mean, I don't know. I mean, I hope.
Yeah.
I really don't want that end of the trailer to truly be. Imagine that
the very end,
the last episode. Because then this is a setup. Like, if we're developing this new galaxy, there's a lot to accomplish now in these last 3 episodes to some extent. Like, 5 episodes of like really intense setup. Like that now, to compare this to Mando season 3, another reason why I'm much more like my ratings are higher for Ahsoka. Maybe there's some slow parts, some inconsistencies, but this is everything so far has been a congruent story that's been relevant to the plot. We get to Mando season 3, episode 1, reintroduction. Episode 2, we go to Mandalore, and then episode 3 through 6 don't contribute to like the Mandalore story too much. The end of 6 does to some extent, and then we get 7, 8. It's like half filler. So
Yeah, seriously, dude. I completely agree with you. Mando season 3 was like, you could have made that a movie and it would have been a lot better because you didn't get to the meat of anything. You like gave us little bits here and there, like, oh, here's a little bit, here's a little bit more. But then like, you're like, come on, let's get to something. And they didn't even
yeah,
give us Bowden or Dimbo.
yeah,
Come on,
yeah,
man. You think they're gonna
yeah.
give us something here? I know they definitely put him into the friend zone, but something?
Uh, I don't know
Sorry.
as far as Ahsoka. Like, there's too much going on for them to worry about like any romance stuff. That's how I feel. Like, there's just way too
Yeah,
much
that's a good point.
right
And
now. But
and we don't
I'm
necessarily
thinking,
need it.
yeah, we don't necessarily need it. But I'm thinking like the movie would be a good place for like impromptu like kiss for Bodin anyway. For like when in the movie.
Oh, right.
What's up, Jello? Also, I see a question from
Jello?
the fact. Yeah, Jello, Nate Kirk. Stay on target. Fact checker. Will we see Senator Organa with Hera? So yeah, that's right. We get an Organa mention in the episode.
Oh, yeah,
which
that was another big call.
Another
Yeah.
big call, and it's like, where is she? It's just kind of like Luke or even Han. I mean, Han, he could be anywhere because he's a smuggler or whatever. But like, where is Leia? And I mean,
Yeah.
Luke, like, okay, he's doing his thing, but all right, where's Leia? Like one of the big
She makes the most
leaders.
amount of sense. It makes the most amount of sense for her to have a name drop and to show up.
What I'm a little confused about, though, they said Senator Organa, and
Yeah.
was she not like a general towards the end of like what would her actual affiliation be at the end of like Return of the Jedi? Like, she was an important military leader by then, but how did she step up to general?
I don't think that happens really until later. I think the sequel trilogy is what made her general. Because before that, like in like Heir to the Empire and like Legends content, she's just a senator still. She's a very high up senator.
Well, it seems like part that Legends.
Yeah, and that's what kind of gets me excited. I'm like, Dave, please do Heir to the Empire right, please. For all that is holy, do that for me, please.
It's certainly going to be different, obviously. Whatever.
I know,
but I just hope it's it just has to be good. This is its own thing. They call this show Ahsoka, but I mean, that's I guess the draw per se. But it's more than it's basically just Star Wars 2, like the galaxy, like literally a second galaxy or whatever. But it's kind of just like a setup for all that.
This feels more sequels like to me than the sequels did, to be honest. And it feels like a more natural progression for like a sequel trilogy in some ways.
Yeah, it's tough. Because in between episodes 3 and 4, we have a lot more content now, with Rebels or Rogue One or whatever else content we have in between. There's more of a like from 1 to 6. There's a lot of established lore there, but then it's like an even greater gap. We don't have much, so it's kind of hard to even call the sequel trilogy the sequel trilogy. It's kind of just a trilogy on its own. It's just 1 year out in space, like 30 to 40 years later. Like, and there's I'm not here to like hate on it per se.
I am. No, I'm just joking.
I'm not the biggest fan. I'm not the biggest fan of the sequels, but it could get to the point though when if we're getting movies in here, it would make more sense to almost call these the sequels since they kind of line up right after and are more connected. Because sequel trilogy just really doesn't feel that connected right now. I mean, I don't know.
It's just so far off, It's so far off,
and it's 1 year in time too, so it's not really. I don't know. I guess the original trilogy isn't a whole lot of time either, but I don't even know if it's the sequel trilogy is a full year in general. Like, it might be just
in total.
Yeah, like
that's true. I didn't even think about that. I forgot it was such a short time.
It's just such a short time, and like you don't have to retcon it, but because it's so short, you can go around it. You can focus on other stuff, but basically, if we're getting Ahsoka movies or movies in this new sequel area, or we'll say New Republic era or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah,
it feels more like sequels to the sequels, if anything, or they're just their own trilogy at this point because they're just connected.
Yeah, and whenever you get a chance after watching like the Heir to the Empire and when like a few years from now or whatever, I think when you go back and you read the books. After you've seen everything, I was like, I think you'll really see then how this is like a perfect sequel trilogy, in my opinion. It flows nicely right into it. So I think that's where he's going. Obviously, he brought in Thrawn. He's making Thrawn the main villain. So I mean, it's villain, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, and there's probably a somewhat obviously more to it probably than just Thrawn.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. I'm excited about that. It opens up a whole new world.
I really did enjoy the canon Thrawn books, though. So a little gripe I have with Disney, though, is if you're using Legends and you're using canon, and like, what's the point of even writing a full canon trilogy that like I enjoyed if it doesn't seem like we're pulling a whole lot? I mean, it relates to the Rebels show, like the Thrawn books do, but like, where are characters from that, or where is like the Night Sister? What's her name? Morgan
Elsbeth. Yeah.
Like in Ahsoka, they say Morgan Elsbeth is one of her like Thrawn's biggest supporters, or she's one of the biggest supporters of Thrawn. She doesn't appear in those Thrawn canon books. She doesn't appear in Rebels. So
yeah, that was a wild card. That was kind of out of left field for me, Morgan Elsbeth. I enjoy it for the most part. I thought she was better in Mando
fine.
too.
I'm just like. Like, where's my homie Eli Vanto?
Yeah,
like, or I don't know.
I feel like they're gonna save that either for like the end of the season, him showing up, or like almost as like a tease, or he's gonna be big in Heir of the Empire, or even beyond Heir of the Empire. I feel like he's definitely got to show up though, man. I mean, they set him up so well.
Yeah, for sure. Little Benny would be cute to see. Who's Little Benny? Jason and Benny Boy? Who is Benny?
Oh, shoot. I'm trying to remember.
I'd love to see more of Jason and Ahsoka, possibly see him being trained by Ezra. That's the hope. As soon as we got Jason, I was saying that, like, I mean, it's not like a crazy prediction. I'm not gonna like, oh, if that happens, like, oh, it was me. Like, no, everyone.
This is the hill you're dying on.
Well, but everyone. I mean, pretty much everyone wants Ezra to train him, if I'm not mistaken. Like,
yeah, that'd be cool.
Would you say you do? Like,
yeah, it just makes sense. I mean, for the fact that Kanan trained Ezra, and then Ezra trains him, it'd be kind of a Ben Solo. I just saw that. Yeah.
What's up? What's up, Coffee? Thanks for swinging by. I appreciate the like. Good luck. Yeah.
That's what we need today, coffee. It's been a busy day.
The thing is, if Morgan Elsbeth was a Night Sister this whole time, I like her. It almost feels like this character was developed more so. Like when she was in Mando season 2, like they probably had different ideas at the time because we don't see Night Sister magic from her. She's just using a Beskar like spear or whatever.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And she introduces Thrawn. Like that's her purpose there. She introduces Thrawn to the story just by name dropping him. But I don't think they had it fully figured out, at least what her role was. But I think Dave has always had this how Rebels will go on. But I think that's why we're seeing Morgan show up more now and not in these like other books and stuff. I think that's what I'm trying to say. Like, Morgan seems to be like a newly developed character to serve this story. That's probably like, well, how do we get the bad guys in the new galaxy? Because obviously the good guys will take the Purgles, but the bad guys, what does it need? Well, we need like an intermediate, like some Night Sister magic or something like that. That's probably what they did.
Right. It definitely from Mando season 2. It didn't seem like that character was totally fleshed out. It feels like it happened in between then and now because we're like, I didn't get that. Yeah. I mean, people speculated. A lot of people speculated, and it was cool to see it come true. But it was kind of like, oh, okay, yeah. I mean, I'll go with it. Dave Filoni, man, he's got a plan. You never know. And they kind of needed that in some ways to set up how they're getting to the new galaxy in some ways, and you needed more of that mystical side. Plus, it gives a lot more interest to her backstory. You're like, okay, who is this Morgan? Where did she come from? Which is kind of fun too. It gives us another item in the sandbox to speculate.
Yeah, and I'd say from a casual viewer perspective, and just I really like this aspect too, but I feel like from a casual viewer perspective, they would like the more mystery of not really knowing much about this character. Like if they didn't watch much else and just watch Ahsoka, it's like, there's a new galaxy. Like, what's this? Like, how do they get there? And like, not knowing much about Night Sister magic and like the Purgles, like it would be extremely wild. And I think like a really fun experience for someone that's really never watched Star Wars to watch. But I try to get people on it. Like, I think you know, give it a shot. Like,
yeah,
but,
I feel like I don't feel like it's got all the casual fans on board yet. That's the only thing. This feels very much still Rebels, Clone Wars fans. Like, this is like the continuation of that. This is definitely for them in a lot of ways, because you know, even the Anakin scenes and stuff like that. People know Anakin and they know certain aspects, but it was still, I feel like they might have been a little lost not seeing Clone Wars and Rebels. So I don't feel like it's fully hooked everybody yet. That's why I'm hoping with Thrawn showing up and with like the new galaxy and with a bunch of other things going on, I hope that's where we're really going to get that hook, because it's going to give so much for just casual fans that haven't seen anything before, and us at the same time. It's going to give everybody at the same time a place to jump off of and be like, oh wow, we're going into this now. This is totally new. So I like that, and I think it's going to be fun once we get there.
Yeah, for sure. Like the sandbox we're talking about.
Yeah.
And will we see some of the same species that had figured out how to travel? It mentioned in the Jedi Archive some were able to. Will there be some remnants of similar civilizations, or will it be completely new? Will there be like Rancors, or will there be some weird looking new beast?
Yeah, I hope so, man. Let the imagination go wild, man. It's gonna be fun either way to see it. I just hope they like lean into it, you know, get weird with it and have fun, but still keep it grounded in Star Wars. You know, there's like George Lucas always said, it's like it's just got to be just different enough, but not too far. You know, he would say that with like the braid, the Obi-Wan's hair in the behind the scenes specials for like Phantom Menace. He said that kind of stuff, and I was like, oh yes, I like where this guy's head's at. He's so good. But yeah.
Sure. What's up, Aiden? Welcome.
Yo.
Coffee tastes better on Korriban. Dark roast only. That's good. That's
nice.
Good. The dark side of the Force. It makes me want to play. Do what must be done, Lord Vader.
Unlimited power. Sorry, that's what coffee gives you, especially dark roast coffee. I mean, extra shot.
You're gonna be buzzing.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Sorry, continue. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, you're good. No, it makes me want to play some KOTOR. I was actually thinking about doing that.
Oh, yeah.
Been so busy, it's hard to just get in. But I want to finish. I haven't finished KOTOR 2.
Yeah,
the game itself is kind of unfinished, but
right.
Yeah, I just really like ancient lore, ancient Sith lore. Like that stuff really interests me. So if we're gonna get some deeper, like mysterious new civilization, I like that kind of stuff. I'm even in like real life, I'm a big history buff, archaeology buff. But
kind of history you like what's kind of like one of your favorite eras to get into?
I really there's a lot, but I do like feudal, like China, like the era where they build the wall, like the Great Wall, and then the Mongolian Empire becoming the biggest empire in Eurasia, like taking up most of Eurasia. But I really like knights though and stuff like and all that stuff with the Anglo-Saxons and King Edmure, King Alfred the Great, like that kind of stuff. Like knights, I like medieval, like the medieval warfare and all that. And, I mean, obviously samurais are cool too, but
it's all good. It's all fun. It's all interesting and unique on its own. So that's why it's
like
fun to delve
everything's
into
so fun.
them.
Like like Aztecs. I mean, the Egyptians. There's so much to do. But that's why I like Star Wars, because there's such a big, like, deep, vast lore out there. I just wish / hope that they can continue to incorporate what's already been established. You can make new things, and well, obviously we'll get a lot of new things, and I'm expecting that with this new galaxy. But when we're doing stuff in the real world, there's a lot of legend material to pull from. So seeing that they're doing that, I really appreciate that, though.
Yeah, and speaking of knights, even like you were saying, there's so much of this show that's like based on, you know, old school knights, like and I really like that they're leaning into that.
Yeah,
And
like Balin.
like Balin Skull, yeah, Balin, man, yeah. I got some theories on that one coming up, so I'm looking forward to that. I'm just looking forward to see more of him. That was like a minor gripe of this episode. I was like, I didn't get to see Balin. I really like seeing him, man. He's just it captivates you the whole time. I'm like, yes.
But because we didn't see him, his impact will have much more in the next episode. We see much. I'm assuming we'll see him this next one. But
Yeah.
Aiden says, I hope we get a torn and weathered Ezra, really coming out of the cave style, long hair and ready to go. Yeah, that's what I want. Some like struggled Ezra, a different Ezra. You know, he's got a cast iron skillet cooking up on the campfire. Ezra cooking this weird looking lizard flying creature, whatever this new galaxy's got. Also, it would be cool to see him like kicking butt, like just using the Force and all that. See it and how powerful he's become, or does he? Want to say it. I don't want to. Never. No, I don't think Ezra would neglect the Force.
Oh no! Don't say that. Do not turn him into a Luke in the sequels.
Yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen. Ezra's way too positive.
Well, so was Luke, and they still did that.
I'm knocking on wood. My knuckles are bruised.
Right? Oh man, they better not do him like that.
I really would expect. I have faith in Filoni 100%.
Yeah,
but I'm just curious to see what they do with Ezra and if we get that catch up period, like me and you were talking about. And
that'd be so fascinating. Could be a show on its own.
Yeah, it's such a long time, and that's the thing with these shows and Star Wars in general is we just get little glimpses of key moments of what happened, and that's it. It's like we get like 0.1% of screen time, or like 0.01%, 0.001, and the rest is just like there's brief lore for hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of years in the Star Wars universe. That's what makes it so much fun.
Yeah, do you think he's constructed a new weapon? Because he doesn't have his lightsaber with him. Do you think he's constructed something similar, or is he just solely using the Force at this point? I'm curious to see if he like created some sort of staff or some sort of like, something he found in this new galaxy that works similar, or just like a sword. Like he's going like straight knight. Just constructed his own rudimentary sword. I don't know. He's been there so long. He could have figured out something epic. I don't know.
Yeah. For me, I kind of lean towards, well, based on how Sabine is becoming a Jedi and it's her saber now, they kind of like said that, like the Huyang actually said, it's your saber now. They're really leaning on like that saber Sabine will keep. That is Sabine's saber at this point.
Right.
I feel like Ezra, he's always been kind of more methodical, a little bit more like he's always interacting with animals and all that. And maybe all this kind of like solitaire time, maybe he's come to like, he's always like nature and like protecting other beings and stuff. Maybe he not necessarily not like be passive, but be more like one with the Force, and just all he needs is the Force to just guide him and do things. But is there dangers out there? My answer is, though, I think he's just going to use the Force, though, because I think he is one of the strongest Force users there are.
Oh yeah,
like he's like, if we're talking midichlorian count, like he's up there. Like he's not chosen one. He's not obviously like he wouldn't have as many midichlorians as Anakin.
How many was that?
But he's like I think it's about 20,000.
20,000. Okay,
but I think he would be like 17 to 18. Like he's probably
wow.
In my opinion, I think he could have Yoda level midichlorians almost. Like he has very much
Yoda?
Potential. I think it's like 17,000.
Okay. What's Luke?
I think it's chosen one.
Is it still okay? So like,
it's like 1,000 left, like 19,000 or what.
That's crazy. Yeah, that would be awesome.
It's all odd how they do it. I kind of want to pull up, see if we can look this up quick.
Yeah, for sure. And then like while you're doing that, it's like it'd be so cool to see what this new galaxy offers, though, too. Like, is he able to pull even more of the Force, because there's so many like living beings, living creatures that he can pull from in this new galaxy. I mean, he might even be off the charts at this point in this new galaxy. It might be like the Force on steroids, or it could be totally diminished, and he has to completely, to survive, he has to completely go back to how he was as a kid, and like he was more scrapper. He had to find tools that worked better for him. Like even his first lightsaber, he had to figure out how to survive by using a blaster / lightsaber combo just to help overcompensate for his lack of dueling ability. So he could be doing that. So there's so many questions that I want to find out. But it'd be awesome to see his midichlorian count and stuff like that. Were you able to find any when it comes to that?
Yeah, I'm trying to compare it. I guess I was off a bit, but again, there's no like real officials or like this is kind of mostly made up. But
George never said specifics.
Yeah, I don't think he necessarily did, but I feel there's definitely been some sources from some people that like at some point from a book or whatever, but. This is a lot of fan made and also comparison, but it says Anakin Skywalker 27,000, Luke and Leia 23,000. Palpatine, the Palpatine was the 20,000 number. For reference, it lists Obi-Wan Kenobi as 17,000. I personally think that number is a bit high.
For Obi-Wan?
Yeah, because he was always a Jedi that kind of like he's strong, but he's using every midichlorian he's got. Like,
I mean. In the Obi-Wan show, he was Super Saiyan level.
If we're going off that, he's got 100,000.
Yeah, I know. How ridiculous was that? Sorry. Okay.
As Obi-Wan being my favorite character, it was fun to see that, but that's all I'll say. Like it was fun, but
it just didn't have the weight that it should have had to it.
It's fun.
Yeah.
I really liked Hayden's acting in that though.
Yeah,
like, that was really
he was a
good.
standout.
There was one of the best lines in there with the. You didn't kill Anakin Skywalker. Yeah. I did. Like that was moving. Yoda 19,000, Mace Windu 18,000.
The only problem, even with that line though, for me, is like being a dark side user. Like, why is he giving Obi-Wan closure? Shouldn't he want his master to have been like off balance still and still fretting about that? You're like, it's okay.
I think that would still off balance him. Think of it this way though: if that's still his brother and he's so far gone that there's no Anakin in there. It's just
that's true.
Now it's him. He's like, I'm proud of this. Like, and
that's true in a psychotic sort of way. Yeah, you're right. That's a good point.
Yeah, Mace Windu 18,000. I would say that. I would actually, I'd put him at about Mace Windu level, anyhow, for like force potential and power, like
for Ezra.
Ezra.
Oh, okay, 18,000. Okay,
and anyhow, one of the most powerful force users.
Yeah,
like, I would say he of the people that are left. Luke, yes, but he would be like more midichlorians than Ahsoka, more than. I'm curious what Jason is because I don't really know what Kanan's is. Ezra is stronger in the Force than Kanan. Like, I'm just gonna say that straight up. I don't think that's really a debate. Kanan is a great teacher and taught a lot, but even in season 1 of Rebels, you can already see Ezra, has these abilities that Kanan just doesn't have. And
but it's crazy to see how much skill still triumphs over like raw ability and talent. Like even with Anakin and Palpatine. You know what I mean? I mean, he's so much more powerful than the Force. He should be able to take a Palpatine at any point. But skill versus raw talent.
Yeah, and the loss of limbs don't help.
Right, that's a good point. That's a very good point.
And I don't really know how it works. We're getting really sweaty with.
We're getting real sweaty. Sorry, man, but it's been fun.
I like talking about it, but it's more so. This is all relevant though, because what feats is Ezra going to be able to do? Like, does he have
feet?
Does he have feet? Does he float? Is he one with the Force? Have you ever seen Avatar: The Last Airbender?
Oh heck yeah, dude! I love that show. One of my favorites.
That's one of the best shows there are.
It's amazing.
It's like it just has a perfect arc.
Yeah, it's crazy. Is that Filoni worked on that? That's part of the reason he got the gig doing the Clone Wars, because he did such a good job there. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's due for. I can almost always like watch that. Like it's always the episodes are fun and it has the same kind of like Kurosawa type of
inspired
more like there's always kind of hope. It's similar elements to Star Wars to someone like there's bad guys, there's stuff going on, but at the end of the day, like there's still still family and there's still things to look forward to, and gotta fight and just keep moving. But
The
what
character
was
arcs are so interesting in those shows. That's the thing. I love watching the
yeah,
character arcs develop, the
yeah,
seriousness tone that they can take, but also the
yeah.
levity, the perfect timed levity in these shows. It's genius. It's like perfect pacing. A little bit of filler here and there, but not like
Mhm.
you're still getting into the meat of it, man. It's only 3 seasons long. It's just they hit the ground running, and it's just fun, man. It's a fun show. Perfect.
Yeah. I was gonna say in the like the
Sorry.
Legend of Korra, like their sequel or whatever, there was a one character that like he gets airbending and all of a sudden he can fly because he's like a perfect airbender or something. But I
Yeah.
was thinking, imagine Ezra just in this new galaxy, he just is flying or something.
Yeah, I think we talked about it before. I feel like in this new one, what if Dave doesn't like pull from that show and basically makes Ezra in some ways like Aang, not exactly like Aang,
Mhm.
but he's again so powerful in the Force that
Yeah.
he is like practically airbending, doing karate and like with the Force though. I mean, that
Yeah.
could be sweet. If he
Yeah.
hovers on an airball, I will
Yeah.
definitely be like,
Yeah.
I'll laugh, but
Yeah.
it'll be hilarious.
I was talking with Aiden in the chat a little bit about this though, but like even though
Yeah.
the show is called Ahsoka, this is kind of like Rebels season 5. Once we
Oh yeah.
get Ezra, to some extent, he really is kind of the main character of this story, though. To some extent, though, like I mean, what's currently going on? No, it's Ahsoka. It's a collection of all these people, but Rebels really focused around Ezra. And once he's kind of back in the picture, though, I would expect to start to really follow him more. So maybe not necessarily in the Ahsoka show, but I think we'll get a lot of screen time if we do get him in these next few episodes, establishing him. And then in these movies and like the Heir to the Empire, it might be like it's really always been Ezra versus Thrawn in this new canon or whatever. I would expect him to be one of the more main characters. I would still expect Ahsoka to be a big part. Luke Skywalker should have a part in this, but they could really imagine like Ezra, Luke, Ahsoka, Sabine, Bodin
Yeah.
teaming up against Thrawn and other enemies. More than just Thrawn. Like,
Yeah. I like that, man.
I would love to see it. Ezra meet an optimistic, real Luke Skywalker. That would be super cool.
Oh yes. Yes. Get original Luke back in there, man. With Han, Leia,
Yeah.
Lando. I want to see the whole crew, man.
Yeah, there's reports today. We talk news sometimes here. Obviously, Ahsoka's the bulk, but it was rumored that the Lando show that was renewed. So Donald Glover's brother is the writer for that. But it sounds like it's supposed to be a movie now from sources. And I would say a lot of people are like, I don't really care for this, don't want to see this, but like, I would definitely see it. Like, I'm interested to see what like a different perspective would bring, and also I feel like we were robbed of that Solo trilogy. It wasn't the best
Yeah.
movie. It wasn't the worst movie. I wanted to see what ended up happening with Maul and those crime syndicates. So
Yes.
would be interested to see if they could tie in some of that in there. And honestly, I would like I like Mando for like the bounty hunter action and that kind of stuff. But I wouldn't mind a smuggler show where we get a younger Han Solo, a younger Lando playing Sabak, doing more, I mean not bounty hunter, but like smuggler type stuff. It would have a similar feel to bounty hunting, but I would love to see something like that in the theaters. The
Yeah.
show it wouldn't feel as drawn out if it was just a movie, like an hour and a half, 2 hour movie that has some plot, could involve Maul, could not. Like there's a lot of options.
And that's what I feel like Star Wars, even in Disney Plus, is like suffering from is like pacing issues is a huge part of it. And like it feels a lot of the time like they're padding the runtime instead of like getting to the meat of it. And that's why I feel like Star Wars in a lot of ways needs to get back to movies. They need to get back to movie form, and they need to get back in the theaters where they belong. I personally believe that like we need to get Star Wars back to movies and to give us those big high heights and like get to the thick of it. We don't need to waste time with stuff. Let's just hit the ground running and develop from there.
I'm gonna give a little bit of a hot take here. I actually think that Lucasfilm wants to do movies, and I think they want to probably do just movies at this point. But because of previous commitments from like 3 to 4 years ago with the introduction of Disney Plus and investors, they've promised to make this profitable. So obviously they want Star Wars, Marvel, and their biggest brands, so they try to bring it in. But at this point, I think they're starting to realize, like, wait, so we put it up and people that pay $7-8 a month can watch what we just spent $200 million on, when we could put it in a theater and get a box office of $500 million to $1 billion, and then sell it digitally and then put it on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Like that, it feels like they're really trying to make this thing profitable, but it sucks that business is getting in the way, because I think they generally do want to do movies, and that's probably why they're probably trying to realize, like, how is a Lando show gonna profit for us if we're gonna have to spend $100 million on it and put it on Disney Plus, and it's not like people will watch it, but will that draw more people to actually hit the subscribe to it, or will people that already have it just watch it?
Yeah, see that, and that's the problem that Star Wars is in right now. Especially, I mean, Disney Star Wars is in. They've done it so bad for themselves so many times now that it's gonna take a few wins before you get people that are excited to come back. I feel like Ahsoka is probably Mando was like, okay, all right, here we go. We're getting a good start, with the first season. It's not perfect, but at least it's getting us excited. And then season 2 pops off and you're like, oh, heck yeah. Especially the end. You're like, yes. And then it was immediately destroyed. It felt like in some ways with, not destroyed, but it was just like Boba Fett. It went down. And then,
and then you get rumors of like what's actually going on behind the scenes there.
Yeah, there's so much drama.
The biggest twist of Mando season 2, other than Luke showing up, Din and Grogu are split up, and then we fix that in an episode and not a show on that. I'm not one to say that I could run a $1 billion business, but I wouldn't make a decision like that. I know common sense.
Yeah.
What? So it's really odd to say, and it sucks too, because to some extent, like, I would say I was probably on the a little bit more optimistic end for Boba Fett overall.
Yeah.
But how I describe Boba Fett is, if there was a range, it has the worst Star Wars I have ever seen to like in line with some of the best Star Wars I've ever seen. Like, it has one of my favorite scenes from Luke Skywalker just in it.
Yeah.
It actually helps me to go, and it's not just Luke in it per se. It's one of the, he has Grogu on his back and he climbs up one of those poles and just takes it all in, and just the whole wide world exists all around you. It just feels so Star Warsy. And then we get that's in the same show, and then colorful like motorbikes that look like they were from like our world.
The moped gang, yeah. Oh my gosh, the Power Rangers. Oh, that's what so many people call them. Oh, that was bad. Oh, yeah. I know. The funny thing too is just like
the cluster.
Mando like commandeered the best part of Boba Fett was Mando, the Mando arc.
Yeah, and how do you feel if you're Tamora Morrison? Like, I can understand why he was so upset about that.
The crazy thing is, like, the Mandalorian show was based off of, it was supposed to be like Boba Fett, but they just
like George had a show kind of lined up like a while back, and then even the 1301 game that was canceled, or 1313,
yeah.
So it was a mixture of those two, I believe. Then Jon Favreau kind of came in, and Dave Filoni. I mean, Dave Filoni is pretty heavily involved with season 1 and 2 of Mando. I don't think he's involved at all he is involved in season 3, but
3, I don't know what happened.
But I don't know. Look at the trend. Like, I have season 1 of Mando was, I'm not gonna say perfect, but near perfect, because it's an introductory show. There shouldn't be a whole lot going on when we're just looking at a bounty hunter, and it really wanted it. I was so excited for season 2. And season 2, we build up from that, get some of the best Star Wars I've ever seen, and we take out the creative mind behind, basically the new George Lucas apprentice, and we're putting out half decent. Well, average. I would say average, and average is just not good enough when there's so
when
many
you're coming
shows
off
out there. There's
when you're
just so
coming
many
off
other
the sequel
shows.
trilogy, man, it's like just for how divided the fans are. You need stuff that unites the fans. It doesn't divide, and that's what I felt like Mandalorian was starting to do. It was starting to unite the fans and get people like behind things. Plus, it gave us the original Luke, the Luke that we could all get behind. I know his face wasn't perfect, but the story point was there.
I
You
didn't.
know,
Again, I didn't notice that at first. Like,
yeah. I
and
mean, it wasn't perfect, but I didn't.
yeah. I mean, like it's something you have to like look into. And I gotta say, I don't know what Nick said about CGI for the episode we just saw, but I'm curious. Did he have complaints about the most recent episode? Because one of my friends, as a casual, even said I was surprised with how great that Hayden Christensen or like Anakin looked, because he looks great. I'm sorry, there is no problems in this one for me. They did that right. I will stay in. I will die on that ground, and I have many others that will. Nick's wrong.
Yeah, I don't want to completely speak for Nick here, the Sith Lord, for fear of being choked out, but no, I don't think he had as much of a problem with this episode, because it was a lot better. I feel like it was a lot better, and plus with like the movement and everything, I don't think they had to do as much de-aging. It felt like in certain aspects, but yeah, no, I did not hear him complain about it. But again, I haven't. So I'm still waiting to hear from him. But yeah, I'm more with you anyway. I'm more about the story. Like, I know it's not going to be perfect, so I
Yeah. Oh, you cut out there a little bit.
Oh shoot, sorry. Yeah, I think my mic's being a little goofy here. Sorry, can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Anyway, what I was saying was I'm with you on this. I feel like it was pretty solid. It's more story for me than it is the actual look of everything.
If anything, my Anakin looks perfect. If it's visual complaints, and again, I'm not one like you won't hear me like complain about this, but I'll give some things that came through my mind, and we kind of talked about like the little Ahsoka thing. Like, it's not that big of a deal to me. Something was slightly off for the clone troopers for me. That it wasn't a full like between how they look in Revenge of the Sith Attack of the Clones live action. There's something a little off. I don't know if it's like budgetary constraints. Again, I'm not going to complain about it very much because it looks great. I'm just saying it's
more of a
like
nitpick.
It's a nitpick. It looked a little bit different. That's where my 94 out of 100. It's like a couple points here, a couple points there. It's very minor things. Like,
yeah,
I can't just be willy nilly giving 100 out of 100. Like,
right?
Like,
yeah. What would be in Star Wars right now? What would be 100 out of 100 for you when it comes to anything Star Wars? Just curious. Hot take.
Honestly, like these next episodes have the potential to be 100 out of 100. And it doesn't even need to be like, oh, there was a crazy like lightsaber fight and battle and there's so much action. It doesn't need to even be that. If they do something almost as simple, but like try to blow me away with this new galaxy.
Yeah.
There doesn't even have to be much dialogue. You could just be following Ezra in this new place for like 30 minutes, 40 minutes, and just blow me away. Introduce me to new creatures. Introduce me to why this new galaxy is different. Try to blow me away a little bit as far as what's going on. Like, it's hard to describe because I can't exactly picture it, but like last episode could have been 100 100 if it wasn't for the little nitpick things. If it looked perfect, if the pacing was perfect, it would have been 100. How they did Anakin and what he actually achieved there was perfect for me. It was the things outside of that were, just a couple things here or there. Like, if it looked exactly like Revenge of the Sith, like how the clones did and all that, that would have been good. If the Ahsoka and the Siege of Mandalore looked a bit different than their first one, yeah, it would be 100 100. But again,
right.
It's great. I'm not gonna like linger on it, but I want to see something really new and wild. We've been Star Wars and Disney Star Wars has been relying on legacy characters and everything else. I like legacy's characters and all that when done right, like here. But I want somebody to swing new, and I feel like that's what Dave's gonna do here.
Right. They definitely have not been able to like pass the torch on for us to get excited about. They tried. It was a big swing and a miss with the sequels. But They really need to
dude,
find.
that's my biggest problem. That's not even episode 7 is just a copy of episode 4.
It is. I know. It's still relying on that. Yeah, exactly. But they were trying to at least give it to like Rey, Finn, and Poe and all them, but it didn't go anywhere, and they didn't do it right. That was the problem. They didn't make them likable. They didn't give them arcs that you were attached to. They didn't set up a new galaxy for them to really, dive into or expand on.
Yeah, so. They just blew up most of the core worlds. Like, oh, well, there goes a bunch of lore.
Yeah, it was more about destruction than it was building on anything. Nobody was.
Yeah, I didn't really appreciate just the blow up of the core worlds. I mean, it added weight to the film, but
it's got to have more but it had weight. But it also, we weren't emotionally attached in any way. That was the thing.
We saw
so
just
far
random
removed.
plans. Like, I don't even think Coruscant was blown up, but imagine Coruscant was. That would be crazy.
That would be a lot more. But even in A New Hope, we were more emotionally attached to them blowing up Alderaan because of Leia. We got to see it through her perspective. That got us attached, and then they just built on that. Yeah. Whereas with this, they just blew them up because you should feel something for all these characters that we have no idea or whatever, so it's, I don't know. Sorry. We could go into that all day, but I agree with you. I want to see something new. That's why they got to start picking up the pace here with this new galaxy and the story. And we need some twists and turns that we don't see coming that are going to blow us away and make it interesting and fun for us, man.
I think that's what we're going to get. And, hoping for that. There's really not from the trailer, we just get Thrawn on the ship at some point, right? But other than that, it's kind of a clean slate. So I want to see what was cooked up with pretty much an open book here. Open book.
Yeah, the possibilities are endless. Now, don't screw it up.
Yeah, I'm gonna come in with an open mind.
Yeah,
last episode I knew was supposed to be good from everything else. I had very big expectations. I have expectations for this to be quality, but I have an open mind of what this will be about. So, there could be a lot of things that could be considered really good. I have an open mind for this. I just don't want we're 2 minutes in. Oh, we found Ezra. Hop on the ship. We got to go find Thrawn. No. Just establish where Ezra's been all this time and what's going on, and same with Thrawn. Icy says, I still think that Finn should have been the main character instead of Rey. I don't have a problem with who the main character at all is in that trilogy. It's just how the characters are done. Rey could have been a great main character if she was done correctly. Finn had the potential to be a great character too. It could have been a dual. He could have been one of the great supporting characters or other leads, but it's just done poorly. It doesn't. I don't necessarily care who's the main character. That's the thing in a story that's completely clean slate. You can kind of pick and choose who to introduce. But
it's more about the arc, the character arc, and how they develop, and how do you get emotionally attached to these characters and root for them. So.
Well, 16 people have voted, and one of 16 says we won't see anyone. So 94% of people say we're going to see Thrawn or Ezra. So you heard it here first, folks. I don't got much else to say. You got any closing takes? I think we're going to be wrapping up here. It's been a fun one.
Oh man, it's been fun. Thank you for having me on. But yeah, no, I hope if we get one, I feel like we should get both. It seems like if you're going to have one on, you can't really, unless it's going to be back to back. I don't know. There's a lot. They got 3 episodes to cover quite a bit, and I'm slightly nervous in some ways that they're going to be able to get to it all in this. So that's the other thing. I
have an open mind.
Yeah, faith in Filoni, man. It's just been getting better and better, and I think he's going to deliver. And that's why my scores have been kept going up through the season. I was like, I'm leaving room for him to blow me away, and I think he will. I'm excited to see it. I'm excited to see what comes next.
Mm-hmm. I guess one last little prediction question. I mean, maybe we'll probably see Thrawn or Ezra, maybe, hopefully, but will we get a flashback scene of not present day Thrawn or Ezra? Do you think they will do that or not? I guess. Well, I mean, you'll be talking on Tuesday as well, but I'm curious.
No, you're good. What do you mean? Like flashback? Like,
well, like, will we get a catch-up scene, like, of where Ezra and Thrawn have been all this time? You think they'll actually do that, or it'll just be all present day?
I hope so. I feel like it'd be a disservice not to. I mean, unless they're planning on doing like another season or something to catch us up, or a different show altogether. But or in the movie, I don't know. But you know, since it is Ahsoka, but I'm hoping this next episode that's coming up is gonna be like catching us up. Like I feel like they could like take
that whole
one full episode to totally catch us up.
That would be so fun. That would be a 10 out of 10 if it wasn't, you know, if it's not like bad. If it's interesting, that could easily be a 10 out of 10 for me. But
definitely,
that's gonna wrap it up. Thanks again, Dustin, for appearing. Make sure to check out Stay on Target. Link in description. Appreciate y'all watching the VOD and listen elsewhere on Spotify. Once I get this up there, have patience. Very, very busy. But
he's busy, man. He's busy.
Yeah, back to business. Anyhow, thanks everyone that swung by. I hope you have a great rest of the night, day, evening, morning, and just like that, we've got like 4 days till the next episode of Ahsoka. Let's go.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks again.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, man. It's been a blast.